live.
Okay.
Hello, on this very cold day where I am today on February the 10th of 2021, a new year. I'm Miss Shepherd and I am here today with my friend, Ms. Ross, and she'll say hello in just a moment. We are very glad to be back. I've taken a month break, so it feels like a long time since I've been on Zoom with you, but I'm very glad to be back. I hope the prior month has gone well for you, that you are well, that you are not sick with COVID, and that perhaps even vaccines are in the future for all of you there. So very glad you're here. Please, sometimes we miss hearing from you and knowing what's happening. How is this all landing for you? So if you do have any comments or questions or requests, feel free to give them to whoever runs this program for you, either the chaplain or the psychologist, whoever it may be, and they can get those things to us, and we would then be happy to adjust what we do to serve you better. Ms. Ross.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Shepherd. And just the same, been thinking about you this past month while we've been in kind of a gap here, and just knowing is this, all of us are in this forced isolation period. You know, we're all struggling, and I know my practice has really helped me get through these months, and just hope that you're finding the same thing, and hoping that something that we share today might be helpful to you, and working with whatever your challenges are. But just so you know that, you know, we are thinking of you, and looking forward to hearing from you either in writing and to that great day when we can actually come back and be there in person. But until then, this is how we are. So I'm just grateful to be here. So
Thank you. So we'll run the session as we have in the past. I'll light the candles and the incense. We'll then do the same chant that we've been doing all these months. Then Mr. Ross will lead us in a meditation. We'll have a conversation on a topic, and then we'll see if we can't fit in a short meditation at the end as well. We'll light the candles. I'll also post the chant that we're going to do. Now let us chant the reflection on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and its results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs.
So we'll let the bell transition us into a meditation. So assume whatever your meditation posture is, you want to be either standing, seated, lying down, but you want to be in a way that you can be comfortable and not have to move for 10 or 12 minutes. And you want to be able to be upright yet relaxed. So feeling grounded, you can just feel the groundedness and whatever's supporting you, the floor, the chair, or your bed, whatever surface is supporting your body, just feeling that groundedness, feeling that support, and then feeling the spine lengthen up from that base of support, a long spine with the head resting balanced on top of the spine, shoulders relaxed, jaw relaxed. So we have this balance between the feeling of the support, the feeling of uprightness, and the feeling of relaxation. So finding that three-pointed relaxation, balance. And if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes, or if you want to leave them open, just have a soft gaze, not be looking around. Just really feeling that groundedness, feeling the body resting on its support. And we can notice the mind resting in the body, however we feel that. So we're becoming aware of our awareness. The mind resting in the body is like this. And just noticing how the mind is. Is it busy thinking, planning, or is it gone to sleep, or is it curious and alert? How is the mind? And then bringing our awareness to what our intention is in our practice during this meditation. And I offer the suggestion that you set the intention to be with whatever your preferred meditation object is. Maybe it's mindfulness of the body, maybe it's a mantra, maybe it's mindfulness of breathing. Just set the intention that during this period, to the best of your ability, you're going to stay with that meditation object. And if you don't have a preferred object, I suggest you choose the breath, just noticing breathing in and breathing out. So we set the intention and we begin our practice. The intention to stay with our chosen meditation object and watching what happens. We can check in and notice where the mind is. Is it still with the meditation object, or has it gone off thinking, planning, going to sleep, distracted by some sound? Just noticing where it is, noticing how the mind is. Is it agitated? Is it calm? Asleep? And then resetting our intention to be with our meditation object. Noticing where the mind is. Is it still with your meditation object, or has it gone off? And where has it gone? Noticing how the mind is. Noticing how the body is. If you are staying with your object, maybe you can notice some level of ease. And if you're losing your object, your mind is wandering, just noticing how that is in the mind and the body. It's like this. And then returning back to the meditation object. Noticing where the mind is. Is it still with your object, or is it doing something else? We don't judge if it's doing something else. We just notice where it is, how it is, and how the body is. If we're staying with a meditation object, we can just notice how that is. And if the mind is wandering or sleepy, noticing how that is. And by doing this over and over again, we can start to see patterns of where the mind goes, what the effect is on the mind, on the body. And we can start to notice what's getting in the way of staying with our intended object of meditation. Start to see patterns. Maybe the mind always goes to sleep. Maybe it's always planning the future. Maybe it's always reliving the past. Maybe it's fantasizing about food. What is the habit of the mind? Where does it go? We return to our object of meditation. Noticing where the mind is, how the mind is, how the body is. Practicing in this way with curiosity, we get to know our mind better, to understand what our patterns are, see what the effect is on the mind and the body. We get to know ourselves in a deeper way. And by doing this, our wisdom comes in and we automatically can start to see if there's some way to be more easeful. We don't have to try, it just happens. But it takes repetition over and over again. Setting an intention, noticing the results, and seeing what we can learn from this. This is our practice. So bring our attention again to just the experience of the mind resting in the body. Feeling the body resting on the support. Becoming aware of your surroundings. Broadening our experience. And the bell will take us out. So if you had your eyes closed, you might want to open them now, just take in the light. And just take some time to reflect on what you might have noticed during that meditation. You know, maybe your mind was able to stay with whatever you intended to, and you could feel some connection with the object, and that allowed the mind to be steady, and there was some calm there. But if you're like most of us, the mind, at least at some point, went off somewhere and was doing something. Either the quiet made it want to go to sleep, or maybe it was busy planning what you're going to do next, or what you're going to do 5 years from now, or remembering what you did 10 years ago, or what you did yesterday. This is what the mind does. This is the habit of the mind, and we can watch it. But what we're doing in the meditation training, you know, on the cushion, is to kind of simplify things so that we can actually watch what the mind is up to, so we can get to know ourselves better. But the first thing we notice when we meditate is that when we set the intention for the mind to do something, it has other ideas and it goes off and does that. And, you know, you probably think, my mind is crazy. Everybody else is doing fine. I can't get this thing. You know, I can't get this meditation. But the reality is everybody's mind does this stuff. Everybody's mind doesn't do what we ask it to do all the time. And the Buddha in his teachings talked about what are called the five hindrances. Hindrances kind of it feels like an archaic, like an old word, like nobody even knows what a hindrance is anymore. But to hinder something is to get in the way of. So that's why I was posing the question, like, what's getting in the way of you being able to be with the meditation object that you intended? So that's really the question that we're exploring in that meditation that we just did. And you got to see for yourself, you know, how that went. And hopefully you weren't judging yourself when your mind went off. What you were doing was learning about what your mind's habits are. I ask it to do something and it has other ideas. And so the 5 categories of what the mind likes to do when it's not doing what we ask it to do, to pay attention to something. These 5 hindrances, the first one is desire, or wanting, you know, whatever you want to call it. It's that kind of leaning in, like, it'd really be nice to have this. So you can energetically, even if you can't put a name to it, you can sort of feel it in the body, like you're leaning into an experience, like, oh, this thought is really interesting. I could get lost in this. I could get lost thinking about this or planning this. so there's like a wanting to figure this out or whatever. So it's a desire for moving towards something, wanting to pull something towards you, to connect with something. And that kind of energetically, it's a leaning into. So that's desire or wanting as a hindrance. And that's very, very common. It's not just desire about wanting pizza for lunch. It's desire about, most of us, for me, it's always desire to think things through. So it doesn't have to be like a physical desire, although it could be. Maybe you were dreaming about being in a comfortable bed or something, who knows? So to work with desire, the Buddha also talked about, how do we work with these hindrances? How can we then direct the mind to counteract that tendency? If we always start moving towards desire, towards wanting something, one of the techniques, he said, is to just increase our mindfulness. So like, it usually happens because the mind is kind of drifting a little bit and wanting something. And if we can pay closer attention to the meditation object, it gets the mind more interested and less interested in whatever that object of desire is. So I guess what we're doing is encouraging the mind to desire looking at the meditation object. So if you're using some kind of a mantra, like really get into what the meaning of the words are. Or if you're paying attention to the breath, maybe notice more details of the breathing in, breathing out process, paying closer attention. Or if it's an energetic thing, like just really feeling that. So the more we can get the mindfulness, the curiosity, the desire to know our meditation object, the less it might go into the desire for something else. And if it's really strong, there's things that we can do, like practicing, gratitude or something like that. Like if the desire just keeps coming back, wanting this, wanting, just practicing gratitude or contentment. Saying like, it really is okay. I don't really need that. Do I really need that? Yeah, maybe not, so we can practice in those kinds of ways when desire is where the mind is going. So the opposite of that, another hindrance is ill will or annoyance or hatred or fear, anything in that category where you're pushing things away, the not wanting. So things in that may be, not wanting to be where you are. That's a common one. But also maybe thoughts about the past are coming up and you can feel yourself like pushing that away, not wanting to have that come up. And so it's not so much the thought itself, but it's the not wanting that's problem. And interestingly, the Buddhist suggestion for working with not wanting is just like it is for wanting. It's like pay closer attention to the meditation object to get your mind interested in that object rather than the story of the not wanting, the not good enough, the fear, the hatred, whatever it is. So paying closer attention for mindfulness. And another thing that I found to be helpful is tuning into how that feels in the body. So if there is that pushing away, like going into how it feels in the body, like you can feel that it's creating tension in the body, and then we're less inclined to want to go there, right? If it's like, oh, like really wanting stuff, like it feels like this, feels like somebody punched me in the stomach. Let's go back to the meditation object. That's more, that would be easier, and so the mind learns to, by going to the body, we can feel the stress, and then the mind just naturally is more inclined to let go of it. So desire, ill will. The third one is is sleepiness or drowsiness. A lot of times when we go into meditation, our lives are really busy, and then all of a sudden we sit down to meditate and we immediately fall asleep. I tried teaching my brother to meditate, and all he did was fall asleep. His mind was used to being busy, and then all of a sudden it wasn't, and he wanted to go to sleep. He says, that's a great thing, right? I'm relaxed. And I go like, no, you're asleep. So we're trying to not be asleep. We kind of sleepwalk through most of our lives. We don't know what's going on. And so noticing when the mind, if it's not super busy with life, with ideas, then it wants to go to sleep. If that's your tendency, then how can you work with that? And you can feel that energetically. You just kind of feel like all the energy sucked out of your body, so trying to think of ways that you can be more energized. If you're really falling asleep, just opening your eyes and maybe focusing on something specifically can engage the brain a little bit more and get the interest up to raise the energy level up. Or again, paying closer attention and mindfulness can increase the energy level. If it continually happens, trying walking meditation or trying standing meditation. Some people, when they're lying down, if they fall asleep, they'll just hold their arms up perpendicular to the surface you're lying on. And then like when you start to fall asleep, the arms fall away and it automatically wakes you back up again. So you can play around with different ways to like, what would make the mind interested so it doesn't want to go to sleep. And then the opposite of that, the fourth hindrance, is restlessness and worry. So agitation, the worrying about what happened, worry about everything, I'm a worrier. This is my main hindrance. So it's just a feeling of restlessness of it's kind of tied into wanting something else, wanting to figure it out, but just a habitual worrying pattern. And the anxiety that comes from that. And you can feel that, again, dropping into the body. What does this feel like in the body is one way to work with it. And also paying closer attention with mindfulness, can help. We give the mind something else to do other than worrying. But really going into the body, I found to be more helpful because you can feel how unhelpful all that anxiety is. And you can feel yourself spinning in a vortex and it doesn't go anywhere. And you can feel how it feels in the body. So that's the fourth one. And then the last one is doubt, the last hindrance. And doubt is described in a lot of different ways. It's like doubting that you're good, that you're doing the practice right, doubting that this is even worth doing, doubting yourself, just doubt. And it's been described as just those of us who have an over analytical mind, we just question everything. So is that the habit of your mind, is to just keep questioning, like, well, really, is this true? Is this true? Is this true? And it's crazy making, right? So like with doubt comes a lot of mental agitation, similar to restlessness. But it's really that perennial questioning, like, is this good enough? Is this right? Is this, it's from overthinking. And so again, just bring the mind back with mindfulness to the object, trying to get it interested in something else or interested in the body, like how does that feel? So you'll see a theme here in how we work with the hindrances. Mindfulness, going into mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of your meditation object, or, if you don't get caught up in trying to categorize these, trying to remember them and categorize them, then you'll get into analysis. Your mind will go into analysis mode. So, if you need to have a quick remember, like practice, more engaged mindfulness, noticing body sensation. Those are probably two key ways that I found they're really helpful to work with it. And know that you're not alone. I mean, there's no defect in your mind doing this. It's just the patterns of the mind. And the more we can understand them, the more likely we can change those. So Ms. Shepherd, how do you work with this? Okay, we may be having technical difficulties here. Let me see what's going on. Are you there? You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, you missed the best part. No.
It had to be better than what I was saying.
What I said is that we don't talk beforehand. So I hadn't known she was going to talk about the hindrances, and this is really timely because I'm actually just now writing up something that I'm going to mail to everybody, mail to the different chaplains to share with you on the hindrances, because the hindrances are, I think, my absolute favorite in the sense of they are the practice that I think has been most helpful to me over all the years, because they are so, they apply both in our meditation and in our daily life. They can be very helpful investigations to notice what's happening to the mind as we go about the day. And also they are endlessly subtle. We can find endless refinements as we start to notice the way in which the mind attaches to sense pleasure or to worry or restlessness or agitation or doubt. And the relationship among these various ones is fascinating as well, that one of the other very helpful things to notice about the hindrances is to recognize how frequently if we recognize one hindrance, what we do is we apply another hindrance to try to fix it. So then we have two hindrances operating. So for example, you're sitting in meditation and sense desire comes up, you decide you're hungry and you start planning lunch. So to deal with that, maybe you then go to restlessness and worry, or to doubt. Oh, I shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong. Or, so the sense desire comes up. You want food, and the way you work with wanting the food is planning how you're going to get it, or who's going to give it to you, or how you're going to get some more money to buy more stuff in the vending machines. And as we pay attention, you notice that actually so much of our life has been refining, getting better at these hindrances. That sometimes when I'm teaching, I'll ask people to sort of make a list for themselves of the ways they work with difficult situations. What do they do? What are their coping strategies? And they maybe write down exercise, talking to a friend, going for a walk, getting something to eat. And it's not that any of those in and of themselves are a problem. I mean, it's wonderful to talk with friends, and getting exercise is good for your body. But can you recognize how those things actually are all also ways of avoiding what's happening? They are hindrances. They are ways that try to escape what's happening right now. And so for so much of our life, we've actually been refining, improving our ability to pursue hindrances. And so beginning to investigate, well, what would be a way to work with this difficulty that isn't just becoming restless or becoming dull, right? Either of those, that isn't clinging or pushing away, that isn't throwing our hands up in confusion and doubt. What would be a way to be here with this experience and not feed these qualities of heart and mind that actually block the ability of the mind to ease? That the reason they're hindrances is what they're hindering is the ability of the mind to settle down, the ability of the mind to be at peace and at ease and comfortable. And so beginning to pay attention to that, again, not to get mad at any of these or feel bad or judge ourselves that we do those things, but noticing, are they really of help? The other thing that, again, is endlessly fascinating to me about the hindrances is that the way they work is that they convince us they are the thing to do, that we believe in them. We truly believe in the value of these hindrances. We believe they will help us. And just like any substance addiction, they don't. And the problem, what sustains the addiction is our belief that actually it helps us, because we're not willing or able at that point to look at the way it's actually harming us, and certainly with substances in very serious ways, emotionally, physically, socially, every way. And the hindrances do the same. The hindrances are what's getting in our way of finding true peace. So as Ms. Ross talked about, restlessness, I'm very familiar with restlessness as a hindrance. And it's so typical that the response to restlessness is either more restlessness, doing something else or doing it more, doing it better, or shutting down, neither of which actually address the issue. What's needed is mindfulness, as Ms. Ross said, a willingness to come into this feeling and not resist it, not fight it, also not follow it. So these hindrances, again, as Ms. Ross said, are everybody has them. In and of themselves, they are not a problem. The issue is what they do in terms of interfering with our ability to see clearly and our ability to settle our mind and heart. The other thing that I notice about the hindrances is that they propagate, they multiply. And that what I'll find, particularly with doubt, is that when I find myself really caught in doubt, which is absolutely something I've found on many occasions, it's so often because it's what I call a multiple hindrance attack. It's because those other hindrances have arisen and built and I haven't caught them. And by the time restlessness has morphed into not wanting, because I don't like the restlessness, and then it's morphs into sense desire. Well, I should, I don't like this. I feel I'm tired. I want to do something to wake myself up. And then it morphs into, oh, what's wrong with me? And this is terrible. And eventually I end up with doubt. And that they've all just built one on the other. So the advantage of these, of beginning to pay attention to these, is that if you can catch them when they're small, they don't build and then lead one to the next until you got all five of them working at the same time, because that's very painful. So I do encourage you to investigate these hindrances. And again, not with aversion, because that's feeding one hindrance with another hindrance. That's what we do. We think, oh, I don't, these are up and I don't like them, so therefore I'm going to push them away. So that's a tricky thing about the hindrances, is not allowing ourselves, that when we have the mindfulness to notice sense desire, to not swing into aversion about it, which is of course another hindrance, the second hindrance of not wanting. So I was just going to say that paying attention to them in whatever way you do, just little ways, just noticing, just increasing awareness. You don't have to fix them. This isn't something to fix. It's something to bring our awareness to. And as Ms. Ross said, you don't have to remember them, but if you're a person who likes to remember a list, an easy way to remember them is the way she presented them, in that, in fact, it's 2 pairs and then a final one. So the first one is, desiring and not desiring, wanting, not wanting. The second one is dullness, sleepiness, agitation, restlessness. So again, 2 sides, too much activity in the mind, too little activity in the mind. And then the final one, doubt. So really a good way to go with your practice, incredibly helpful, both in your meditation and in your daily life, just to notice how the mind so frequently goes to one of these 5 and gets you away from seeing what's happening clearly and being able to bring forth some wisdom and calm. Thank you, Ms. Ross.
Yeah. And just the good thing is, if we do start paying attention, when we do have that moment where we've noticed we've gone off in one of it, even if we can't put a name to it, we just notice, oh, the mind has gone off. It's just like, where is it? Oh, it's in thinking about something, whatever. Even if you don't put a name to it. But if we can break the energy of it, guess what? The hindrances are not permanent. That's what I love about it. Like, we forget that. It feels like this mind state is going to stay forever. But if we stay there without mindfulness, it will go on for a long time. It will seem to go on forever. But if we, this is where our mindfulness practice comes in. And as Ms. Shepherd said, it's so helpful to do this like continuously throughout the day, because then that continuity of mindfulness is really helpful, but also we can really start to see what it looks like in real time in our lives, and see and even after something has happened, like, you notice that, fear rose up when, some guy comes down the hall that maybe attacked you once or something. I don't know, you can feel that fear. And you can really notice how that feels in the body, and then inviting the ease. And so we get this real time thing when we do it in everyday life. But if we don't keep feeding them, they do go away. But it never feels like it when we're in the multiple hindrance attack, so yeah. So it's good, it's really good practice. This is, as the shepherd said, one of the really core things that I work with, just noticing what's happening.
Well, should we do a brief meditation and then?
Yeah. Do you want to maybe close us out with a meditation in the mirror? That would be great. Thank you.
So just settling wherever you are, however you are. And maybe settling isn't what's happening, but just becoming aware of what it is that's happening right now. And trying to breathe. And whatever is present, can you breathe and be there with it without reacting to it, without believing it, without feeding it, just knowing. So if it's a restless mind state, and you know a restless mind state as a restless mind state, well, the mind feels really jumpy. It's moving. It really is. I feel this sense of push to go to this next thing that's on my plan for the day. Next thing I want to do. Just noticing that feeling and maybe being able to tie it to a feeling in the body, because likely, not even likely, there will be a feeling in the body. And seeing if you're able to just stay present. Let those things, those feelings, those thoughts, those worries arise. Know them as just conditions of the mind. Not you. They do not define you. They are not what you are. They're just something that's arisen. And if we don't engage with it, if we don't react to it, we don't feed it, in its time it will pass. And the breath is one of the ways that help us stay present. The gentle rhythm of the breath and the body, noticing how has that, whatever has arisen in the mind, what's it done in the body? And likely it's caused the body to tighten. So bringing the attention to the body, noticing any tension that's arisen, letting your shoulders relax and drop down and back. Noticing any tension in the face and the jaw, in the forehead. Allowing it to relax. And then staying with the breath as much as you're able. When you get pulled away, coming back. Having a sense of the breath allowing the body to open, broaden, widen, soften. letting yourself rest in this way, not asleep, as Miss Ross said, awake, present, and at ease. That's what resting means. We're here, but we're at ease. Noticing again if you're with the breath, if the body is at ease, or if the mind has picked up again, whether you're filled with thoughts or plans or memories. If so, becoming aware of what's present, what's pulled you away, and releasing, coming back. Remembering there is a place of ease and it resides in the body and in the breath. Not adding these hindrances as another to-do, but using them as a tool, a skillful tool to help you better understand the habits of your own mind. That's all. And knowing these habits don't define you. They're just habits. They arise and cease like anything else. We don't have to identify with them or react to them any more than anything else. So thanks, Ms. Ross, for introducing these hindrances again to us. I just encourage you to use them for your benefit, not as a way to judge or punish yourself. They are a way to help us understand what are the harmful beliefs we carry around. Our beliefs that I have to be restless to get anything done, I have to be agitated. Our beliefs that I have to push this thing away. That I need to know the answer to this. That those are the things that get in our way, are not a help. But it takes both courage and effort to begin to really untangle our deep commitment to these hindrances. So give it a try. I think you'll find it very interesting. I was glad to be with you and with Miss Ross. Miss Ross, you want to give your goodbyes?
Yeah, just grateful to be able to be together again, and hopefully there was something here. Just maybe you could take a second and just think about if there was something that really, stuck with you, and go, yeah, maybe I'll give that a try. We threw a lot of things at you, a lot of lists and a lot of techniques, but was there one takeaway? And maybe play with that, add it to your toolbox. Our toolbox just keeps getting bigger, but it gives us something to do. So grateful to be with you all again.
So we'll hope to see you in a couple of weeks, and do take care. We send you our very best and are really glad you joined us. Be well. May your practice be of great benefit to you.